for it. Yeah, I am setting up the stream because we have people that like to watch, which is for some reason not showing up, but that's okay.
You know, it's probably showing up. It's just
you know what?
You don't know this.
What if we just don't schedule it? What if we just? Hey, there we go. Bam.
It works.
Bam. That's the microphone.
I know.
Don't yell into the microphone.
I'm not yelling.
Don't whisper loudly into the microphone.
Oh, is it loud?
Yeah, it'll be loud.
Oh.
Wait, how many people usually come to
Sorry.
the meeting?
The last two that we had 8 and 9. The first one had 8, the second one had 9, and then we had
Braxton is the
3
coolest.
people watch on live streaming.
Oh, you guys like it?
And the
yes,
realist.
That's Haroon.
So the OBS and everything?
Yeah, I have OBS. I just stream it to YouTube. It's real easy. Nice DVR setup, and we only have one person today because we're good, which is very strange. I know. Where's Philip? Are they still in the?
Yeah, they're still in the meeting.
Oh, so they're still in the meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a long meeting.
What are they talking about?
Well, first it was like there were guest speakers, like 2, and then after that we actually started the actual.
Wait, we had guest speakers today?
Yeah.
Why?
One
Hey, man.
guest speaker for the he was becoming a SGA president, vice president, or something like that. He's going he's a candidate for it. So
Gotcha.
he wanted our help. And then another was the technology GSU technology president.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are people coming behind you, Emmanuel? Philip? Is he on his way?
Philip, I'm not sure.
Was he at the meeting today?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
Philip K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Tallboy.
Cool guy.
Then yeah, we'll chill for a little bit, wait for them to get here, and then we can start.
Wow, if I knew you guys were gonna wait, I would have stayed a bit longer.
You know what?
If I knew you were going to wait, I would have stayed.
Well, it's usually a difference of 2 versus like 5 people is a good number. So.
Are you able to cut out the beginning part?
Yes.
Of the stream? Okay,
Yes, I
that's
think.
good.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure.
It'd be unfortunate if you could.
They can hear us. They can hear us talking about PantherHackers. Hi, this is PantherHackers. We do things.
Yay.
Yay.
How many people are watching one?
We have one person watching right now. I should probably post this to the channel, honestly.
You should stream on Twitch.
I'm not streaming on Twitch. No. That is not how you do things.
Oh my goodness, I would read the Twitch chat the entire time if it was.
I know you would.
Nice tattoo.
Thank you. It's adorable, isn't it?
Yep.
This is not what I wanted. I really just want to go to my channel because that's where I go.
Whoa, statistics.
Right?
Analytics. Everywhere.
That's when you've gotten 1 subscriber
Woo! Isn't that fancy?
Oh, snap.
in the entirety of your.
Wait, is it? It's live,
Yeah, it's live.
but like, where's that link though?
Say something.
No, that's the server URL.
Can you share? Is there a share button?
You'd think there'd be a share button. Ah, there is a share button.
So, yeah.
Well, let's open Slack and send this to peeps.
Do an ad channel.
All right, I probably should. Yes.
Nice.
All right.
I gotta go.
All right,
I
have
wish I
fun.
could stay, but I'll watch the live.
You'll watch it live.
No, I'll watch the recording.
You'll watch the recording of the live.
Yeah.
The live stream. Okay, that's fine.
Alright.
Oh, there's Yassine. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Bye.
See you, man. Someone's dead. I heard it. The Wii U.
I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I'm not. It was a joke. It was a joke. A jest.
That was also a joke.
Haha.
Nothing will happen to these people who say that to you.
Richard,
Organization that has too many chapters.
relax.
It should have started by now.
What should have started? What, this? Well, I'm waiting for people to actually get here and sit. So,
How many people do you expect?
at least 4.
The day after,
Spring break, true, is a good point. But
Still meeting.
All right, Emmanuel, let's go ahead and get started then.
So technically there's 3 people because one person's watching.
I have no idea who that person is.
Can you check?
Nope. Cannot.
That would,
That'd be strange.
yeah, it would.
Okay. Shush friendo. Hello everybody, Emmanuel, and crap, I should not have said a name because now I don't remember your name and now I feel bad. Hi. What's up? What's your name? July? Alright, what's up, dude? Now I feel like a fool. I have spoken and I should not have. Indeed, you are correct. Okay, so today we have a few things that we're going to talk about. We're just going to continue some logic that we were talking about before, which was moving stuff over to generic script files that we can reuse, and updating our logic to be a little bit cleaner, because last time we had our Mario that was able to jump and jump infinitely and forever and ever, which was really cool, except it wasn't really helpful for a game. Because this is not Jetpack Joyride. And we're going to talk about tags in Unity and how they work, how they're very, very nice, very, very helpful. Make sorting things and doing logic based on certain objects very, very easy instead of doing some shenanigans to figure out what something is. We're going to talk about colliders and why they're obnoxious, and how you can actually get used to them a little bit, make your life a little easier. Like right here, we have collisions and stuff. And yeah, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Last week we had our Mario. I'm going to actually make a new one from the prefab that we had before. Good old defaults, which has nothing but what we had last time on it. And we're going to make it basically be a new fancy Mario. So if you watch, last week, you can make him jump infinitely with very, very interesting speeds. But there you go. And he'll die. So if we open back up our scripts, I have updated our move file to, what should I do first? You guys remember what we were talking about last week with the rotations and stuff like that? 2 weeks ago, not last week. 2 weeks ago, long before spring break. Yes, lots of crazy things. Yes, you're not wrong. So if I did this real quick, and I re-enabled the Paper Mario feel. You can have objects have rotations, and it looks really cool. Not very helpful, but it's really cool. lovely game logic. So this week I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to put that back and comment those out for our sake. We're going to have 3 new functions for our move, and I'm going to talk about each one and why they're important. But the first thing we're going to make is called a follow object script. So if you can make a new C# script, so go to your scripts folder and just make a new C# script. Should be real easy. Call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it follow object. I already have one, so I'll just make it uppercase. And we're just going to open that. It's real nice. Follow object. So you'll have a generic C# script given by Unity with mono behavior implemented. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to say, hey, I want a game object, so public game object to be our reference. And you want to say, hey, and from now on, whenever you do this script in Unity, when you make public variables and you click on something that has a public variable, you can see this is not a good speed. Remember speed from last time on our movements? We had a script, and you can make it speed and thrust and all that sort of stuff. You can make those public variables however you wish. When we give something our follow object script, we can give it a game object reference. which is really, really handy. I'm just gonna move this out so I can actually see both things at the same time, which will probably be a little better. And then instead of on update, we're going to use a late update, which is important I mention now because it's kind of different. You know how when we used fix update on the rigid body 2 weeks ago for the for physics? Late update is what is done after update. So if you have game logic that can happen at the same time, but it's important one thing happens after the other, that's what your update and late update are for. So you do your update calls and then you make sure, hey, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die on the screen. And if you want to do, hey, I want to increment my score last, then you do late update for that, if that makes sense. So you just do all your secondary logic and your late update that's not very important or needs to be done after. And then you would go late update transform. If I can type today, dot position equals reference dot transform dot position. And then if we did it like that, you probably think, okay, well, if we're just making the same, if we're making our object have the same position of our reference object, then they're going to be on top of each other, which is not good. You don't want something like something following the camera to be on top of the camera, because then you can't really see it, or it's going to be super big. So we want an offset. So we're going to just make a, oh, that's an equal sign. That's not a plus sign. We're going to make an offset, which, if you remember, offsets and transforms are usually vector 3s. So now when we go and let's just give this to our dear friend Mario, we click on our new little Mario over here. I'm going to go add component. In scripts, you can do our follow object 1, which did not actually get renamed differently, and you'll see it has a reference and an offset.
Very loud.
So when you want to give an object, let's say I want the camera to follow. Let's say I want Mario to always follow our shroom. Let's just say that. We go over here, we pick our shroom, just click and drag, and you can see how it just references the game object. And you can give it an offset of -10, or let's keep it on screen, -2. So whenever we start the thing, it should be, yep, our Mario is always at the exact same position as our shroom, a little bit to the left, no matter what happens. Huh? The camera is moving with the first Mario, which I will show you how to do in just a second. Yeah, the one that's actually in the middle of the screen properly. So let's say, yeah, you want your camera to follow your object. So we're going to get rid of this from our dear friend Mario. We're going to delete this. We're going to go to our camera, and instead of using this one that I already had, add component, we'll just use our scripts, our follow object script, and give it a reference of our dear friend Mario with an offset of what, -10z, so you can actually see everything. And you'll notice it should follow the left Mario now, the one that jumps really, really strangely. And if we go back down, we should see a shroom, unless he already went off screen or died. One of those things that happened. But yeah, so now the camera will always follow the middle Mario, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and keep this for now. Now I want to talk about tags. This is not actually in the scripting yet. If you notice, when you click over something on in Unity, the inspector, if you go to the very, very top, which is usually hidden by default, it'll be like this, usually. If you scroll up, you'll see Mario default, and you give it a tag. Tags are kind of important. Let's say you can have lots of different things. You can have players, you can have the main camera, you can have it only when it's done by a game controller or whatever. And you can make your own ones, like a kill box, a spawn box, if it's lethal or not, or if it's the ground. You can do that, just add tags, and literally just click the little plus button, name it whatever the heck you want, whatever logically makes sense. And you can reference that in C# by actually, it's really, really easy. Go over to this one, and let's go to our move, I guess, just to show, which is over here, right here. All right, we're gonna write this in a second, but if you have your on collision enter 2D, you can check if your other objects you can get its game object and just do .tag. It's just like a public string that you have access to, and you can compare it to whatever you want, whether that's the player, whether that's the ground, yada yada yada. So remember last week how we could have a Mario who could jump forever? This essentially fixes that. I like how my comment is literally this is different. That's 5 a.m. me right there. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, last time we didn't have this check, if the on ground check. We just said if you press jump, make him go up, right? That sounds about right. But we want to check, hey, if he's on the ground, which I just made a public boolean, and you use these two methods, which we can actually look at and dissect pretty easily, because I don't want to rewrite it fully, but I just want to explain. Whenever you have a collider, these are collision 2D objects, there are 4 different methods, which we've all, at this point, including these, have used. There's on collision enter and there's on trigger enter. Remember last time when we did, there was another script somewhere, when we did our, what is it? Who reference? Oh no, I opened MonoDevelop. Oh god. Rip my computer. MonoDevelop is terrible. Never use MonoDevelop, children. This is what it looks like, and it is terrible. Be sad. Huh? It doesn't look that bad? It crashes so often. It makes me sad that it exists. But essentially, yeah, we've used all 4. There's on collision and on trigger. So if you click on your Mario, you know how we gave him a box collider? There's a little check bar that says is trigger. Essentially, that makes it whether it's an on collision or if it's an on trigger. Triggers make sure, if you have this checked, you'll notice what happens to Mario. He just kind of falls through the ground. Because this collision is a trigger collision and is not a actual rigid body collision, essentially. It's saying, hey, this box that I have around me is only meant to do logic. It's never actually meant to do anything in the game, in the physical sense. Like the physics engine would never touch this. But when you uncheck that, it says, I exist as an object's collider, so when I hit the ground, I stay on the ground. And then we get killed by tiny shrooms. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Those are the 4 things. We want to update our move with this. So it's essentially just you edit your fix update to have an on-ground boolean, and you check if your tag is the ground. How you do that is you just go to your ground, click on it, select tag, and make a ground tag. Super simple, super easy, pretty straightforward. Let's see, what else do we have? Because I have a list of things, and some of them actually require being rewritten. All right, we want to make a player object, or player logic, not object. I'm sorry. So make just another C# script. We're gonna call it player logic. You know how we have move and that's already attached to Mario? Well, in the off chance that we want to move something else, you want to separate your stuff into multiple script files. So let's say I ever want to have more than one player, or I ever want to move something more than once. I would reuse all that multiple times, right? So I'd have those in separate scripts, so I don't have to put move whenever I want a certain player logic to happen. So if I open that in our script editor, which is now not showing that lovely file viewer, where is this? Ah, I see. I have confused it. This is our player object 1, our player logic 1. Wow, I keep mixing up those words today. Our player logic, we have a few things that Mario would probably going to do. He's probably going to die. He's probably going to move, which we've already got covered. And he's probably going to win things, right? So if we have our player logic, we can do that all in here and keep that separated from our movement in case we ever want to reuse it. So we're probably going to say, okay, Mario, when you jump on something, you probably want to kill it, right? If I can reopen this lovely script. So you want to jump on something, you probably want to kill it. So we'd probably say you have a box collider somewhere on you that is your stomp box. Because if we use this big old green box that's on Mario right here as our kill box, the unfortunate thing is anywhere he touched somebody, if that was to kill it, it would kill it even if he touched his head. which is not the point. You only want it to die when it jumps on it, right? So we'd say, okay, you probably have a Collider 2D somewhere called your stomp box. And we can actually make that right now. You just go to your Mario, add a component, Physics 2D, Box Collider 2D, and you'll notice they overlap, but if you change the size, you can see this other green box appear. And you can actually make it really, really small. And then an offset of just below his foot. And so now now you have this little second box collider, and you probably want to add it as the trigger, because otherwise, if you didn't have it as a trigger, let's just show what happens. He kind of floats a little higher than he did before. You see what I mean? That's because it's used by physics, and instead, if you do this, he'll drop down on the ground as he is supposed to. So, lovely. All right, so let's use this. We're going to add our player logic. This is player logic 1. Yes, we're going to add that to our Mario. Scripts, player logic 1. And I didn't save it, which is why it's confused, why there's nothing there. And you can see when it refreshes and it thinks it exists, which should be any second now. There we go. There is a Collider 2D, which if we select our right one, just click and drag, as we've done before, on it, now it's a stomp box. We can reference that anywhere we want to, as long as it's in the scope, which, let's say, all right. If you are Box Collider, and make it is trigger, we got that selected, and on trigger enter 2D. I will actually pull up our other things so I can read it and not be blind. Public, or private, excuse me. Private void on trigger enter 2D.
You have to specify private in that method. In the other methods that are auto-generated, you have to specify.
Oh, okay. So private is assumed by default. But when you do message methods, like on trigger enter, I should probably explain what that means. A message method in Unity is something that could exist but doesn't always have to. So if you have a collision box and something touches you, you're going to get a collision thing, whether or not you actually use it or not. Does that make sense? So if you have a collision box and anything touches you, you're going to get a method or a message sent to you. And Unity will try and call your message method and do logic based on that. If you don't have it, it just ignores it. But this is just how you have to do it with Unity. Is if it's ever a message method, you got to use private. Putting it public makes it break a lot, just because Unity is lovely. That's all I can really say. But yeah, so if we want to say, okay, Mario, if you ever touch something that is lethal to you, so let's say we make a tag way up here. I'll make a lethal tag, right? So which might be this little mushroom guy that we have over here. If you ever touch something that is lethal to you, if your other game object tag equals lethal, you should probably die, right? That makes sense. Destroy this object. Makes sense, right? Or wait, this game object. Excuse me. Getting a little ahead of myself. So we'll just do that. So now if we move or play, we should have it where let this Mario die. Touch it, we touch it, we get destroyed, right? All right. That's the nice simple way of doing it. The issue is, if you notice, the shroom already has the logic on it where if it gets stomped on, it dies. But you'll want, if you notice, we jump on it. Oh god, I should probably fix the thrust on our poor little default Mario. That is atrocious. That is a lot of thrust. I hope that is good. That is that is not good enough. What is it on this one? Because he seems to be a lot better at this than this one is. Oh, that makes sense. Thank you, Unity. We'll just add it like 350 or something. It's fine. I think that's what we did, and I don't want to open the rigid body and stuff like that to test it. There we go. Oh, wow. Oh. See, you touch it even when you're with your kind of upper half, and you still die, which is an issue because if you notice, the shroom didn't die, even though you touch it with your foot. I could try again, and sometimes you both die. Oh God, this is. Why are you so floaty? Yep, you died. Unfortunate for you. That's not what I wanted to open. So how you probably do this is say, instead of saying, hey, die right away, you want to make a few variables and abuse the lovely method called lay update. So in case, let's say you die, but let's say update is called every frame, remember? So at the same time as you're checking that if you're going to die, the shroom is also checking if it's going to die. And the problem with that is you might destroy each other, which is not the goal. It should be one or the other, right? So instead of doing the logic here, and I have Slack pulled up for some reason because that makes sense. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That's kind of what I wanted. There we go. Pull that back up. Instead of destroying ourselves, we would say we have a private variable set to a game object. It needs to be capitalized. And we'd say that is our offender. And we would have another private variable called a boolean to destroy to be false or true. It doesn't really matter. I'd just say false for defaults. And you'd say in your late update if to destroy, we want to do something. We want to destroy ourselves, right? We want to destroy ourselves last. The problem with this is we still have an issue of what if we destroyed the other thing, right? What if we jumped on it and it died? Because our collision will still happen. So if we just did this real quick and I changed this to just be to destroy. Oh, that's a tilde. To destroy equals true. Notice if we press play, pretty sure. If I remember my 5 a.m.ness, yep, you still die. Well, that's because your late object or your late update is still not checking if the other thing exists. So we say our public offender, our private offender, to be the other game object. And that is essentially saying, hey, we're saying, hey, we're going to store this for later checking. We're going to say, hey, the game object, that is our offender, which is our shroom man, who keeps running around trying to murder poor Marios. We're going to save that and reference it later. And instead, we go, hey, in Unity, you can do this lovely thing, which is just say, if our offender, I'll put a space there for some reason. Our offender does not equal null. Then destroy ourselves. That makes a lot more sense, right? If the other thing still exists, then we want to die because we know we hit the wrong spot. Let's see. Oh boy. And we probably want to make a method. You know how we stored this way up here, this stomp box? And we put it right. Oh, if Mario selecting would work, we put it right here. Well, now that we have it stored, we probably want to use it somewhere. And so we'd say, hey, make a good old getter and setter methods from our 1301 and 1302 days. This is still not the right script. There we go. Need this open here. We would say, hey, we want a public collider 2D get stomp box. And we would turn our stomp box that we stored up top, which is all nice and fancy. And why that makes sense is if we have our shroom, who we will rewrite logic for in a second, we have a shroom that's going to be moving left. We probably want to say, hey, shroom, are you being jumped on by the stomp box? Or are you going to be jumped on by my side? Because if you touch my side, you shouldn't die, right? You only want to die when you touch my foot. So what we're going to do is just make another C# script and call that shroom logic, which is pretty self-explanatory. Open that up in Sublime. And is this shroom logic 1? Nope, that is shroom logic 1. Or they're the same. Cool. Okay, so the niceness that is our shroom, we want to say, hey, shroom, remember how we had our Mario move the first time? If we go over to our move script, oh no, I made the same mistake. Monodevelop, no, please. Okay, I fixed it. We're good. We have a move script, there we go, that makes our Mario move by a certain vector 3 every little bit, right? Every time we press left. Well, we don't want to make it where our shroom only moves when we move. We want to make the shroom move constantly, right? That just makes sense. So we probably open up our script that we were just writing. Because that makes sense. We would go, hey, we want our transform dot position to equal our transform dot position plus some new vector 3 that we give it, I don't know how fast we wanted to move, -1, 0, and 0, times our speed, which we can set, that we did set in move. We can set it up here, which would just be a private or public float speed equals to 10.0f. That is a comma. That is not a period. There we go. All right. So now if we add this instead to our little shroom man after Unity does its little freakout session, where you can't select anything, just delete our shroom logic from before, add a new one. Shroom logic. There we go. We have a speed of 10. Make him play. Oh no. Where'd he go? Oh boy. Where did he go? Do you exist? You don't exist. But why? I think I multiplied somewhere incorrectly. I'm sure I did. Because that should not be a thing. Very, very peculiar. Who knows? I am confuzzled. Let's see. Yeah, I had it somewhere. Our reference script is here. There are so many monitors. Nope, that's player logic. This is the shroom logic. Reference, cool. Here we go. Okay, update. I made it. Oh, I used translate instead of actually just moving the exact one. That works too. Translate our position, which is just a new vector 3 times our speed. It's literally the same code that we had from our move and stuff. It's just a little different numbers. This should work, hopefully, if I'm not insane. And Unity doesn't freak out. He just dies. I'm very confused. Do you exist, dear shroom? Dear friend, where did you go? Huh. Interesting. Who knows? Because that should work every frame. I'm just gonna copy all this like it never happened. Just copy all of it like it never happened. Oh, I did add it. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yep, moving. There he goes. I was doing something wrong. Who knows what it was, but he exists now and he's dead. very, very quickly. You can put him back because he lives on another day. No. Cool. All is well. Let's see. We have our shroom logic. Now we have a few other things. We probably want our shroom to die if it gets hit by a kill box or if it gets stomped on by the player, right? So we probably have a private void on trigger enter 2D, and we'd say collider 2D other, and you'd say, okay, we have this lovely logic that we can add in our games. Let's say you miss the shroom like this. So you just jump over the shroom and let him go off on the screen. Well, the problem with Unity is that game object still exists. He's still going left forever and ever and ever, and will eventually fall off and go down forever and ever and ever. And you'll see as our load time increases as he gets further away sometimes, and other times he gets put back into proper space. You probably want to delete him when he gets off screen, right? So what I have done, and what we will probably all do, is add these little boxes that go around your player space. And they're just called kill boxes. You can literally just go to your sources, right click, create a sprite, make it square, and just call it like kill. Doesn't matter. Just draw it, put it on there, and give it a tag called kill box. And once you do that, you can reference that from anywhere. So if I touch it and you give it a box collider 2D, we'll give it a kill box tag, and say it is a trigger. We'll put that right here so we can watch him die. Wow, he didn't die, but he killed both of me. I think I did something wrong, incorrectly. I must have. Oh wait, is it not supposed to be trigger? It's one of these. One of these. Nope. Did it wrong. Oh, it's because our shroom logic doesn't check for that yet. I'm dumb. There we go. Okay, so now he's touching this thing, and we want to say, hey, yes, this is a trigger. Now I got my space, my head space back in the proper line. We want to say, hey, if the other dot game object dot tag is equal to our kill box, right? That's not how you spell kill box. That's how you spell kill box. We want to destroy this dot game object. And now it should work. Now I should not be crazy. Just watch it run into it, and bam, gone forever. So if you just do that with all these three, you can just put it around it, and so even if you miss it and it goes off screen, it's gone. Doesn't matter. It's free from memory. It's not a waste of space. It's very efficient. And honestly, these sprites, since if you add a, say I take this and I add a component, and use our script that we had before, which is our follow object, and I just drag our camera in there, right there, and give it an offset of +10 so it's still in view, and like 3 forward. You'll notice wherever we go, it's always following. So even if we move and jump a lot, it'll follow the camera and it'll delete anything that goes behind it. Sound cool? But yeah, this kill box is not very important. We do that with all these. Now if you notice, if I do this, and I have this kill box, and we go left a lot, and we jump off the edge, you notice I start to, oh wait, I don't, but my other Mario does, starts to catch up with what's it called? Where's the camera? We're gonna follow our other Mario real quick, so I can demonstrate the issue. As we run away from this little shroom for a very long time. There we go. All right. You notice I can like start to catch up with some of the physics objects, or they start to get weird. It's an unfortunate side effect. Is sometimes you'll go faster than the physics engine allows you to transform, which is not necessarily an issue. As long as you just go into your kill box and you say, hey, turn off the sprite renderer, which means you can't select it anymore. Like you literally cannot touch it in here. Like if I just click and drag, notice I don't get anything. But it's there. You can still select it from your left hand options. It's kind of nice. Oh wow, that's very far zoomed in on our dear Mario. So yeah, so that's the logic for killing your little shrooms that go off screen that you missed or you didn't jump on properly. And you probably say, hey, what if I touch the player and it's not, their face? What if I touch their boot? I should probably die, right? Well, you go, hey, if other .game object, this gets weird. This is where I'm going to talk about collider shenanigans. This is not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Okay, so Unity doesn't let you go, hey, I want the game object, and then I want to call a function on one of its scripts, right? It doesn't let you go, okay, well, I have a game object that's going to be our player. It's not actually right here. It's right here. If our game object has a tag of a player, we know that it should have a method in one of its scripts in its player logic called get stompbox. Remember we made that? The issue is you can't just go, hey, we want the other game object script, which is, I guess, in this case, player logic. Like, you can't just call it and go, hey, I want the get stompbox. That unfortunately does not work. You have to do some casting shenanigans, which I will go piece by piece. And this is something that I figured out over the course of 4 hours working on Global Game Jam. And it was one of our biggest struggles because it made no sense. And then you read 3 guides on Unity's documentation and says, hey, we don't know why it doesn't work, but it doesn't, so do it this way. So basically you go, hey, if our other, which is our collider, let's say the stomp box that we just touched, right? We want to say, hey, if that is the same as the other dot game object dot get component as a type of, I'm going to type this all out and then I'll go piece by piece and explain why it is like this. As player logic dot get stompbox. All right, that is a big old cluster of beautifulness that I can explain. So let's make this real big. So if we have an other object that is a collider, so we're talking about whatever we just touched has a collider that we called other. We want to say, hey, if that collider is the same on a player object, since we just checked that, so we know this player object will have a stomp box. If we're saying, hey, if that other is the same as the other object's component, which is saying, hey, when we do on Unity the add component, there's a method that you can use in Unity where you can get set components. If I can pull that back up. Now it's all maximized and I don't know which one's which. There we go. Get component, you can go, hey, if it's a type of collider, if it's a type of script, if it's anything, you can go type of whatever it is, whatever component type it is, and do as a whatever it is. Because if you don't have this part, and you just have type of player logic, you'll get what is just a generic Unity component. And remember from Java and inheritance and extensions and all those things, if you treat it as a generic object, you don't always have all the methods of those generic objects when they get more specific, and it gets kind of gross. So you have to say as player logic. It's essentially typecasting in Unity and C#. You're typecasting it as a player logic script, and because all player logic scripts have what is this? Where is it? All player logic scripts have get stomp boxes. What? I'm sure I did. Somewhere in this mess. Where did it go? What? Yes. No? Yes. There we go. Player logic. Thank you, Richard. Since all those have a method called getStompBox, we're now getting we're checking our Collider2D object to this really other long nonsense, which is basically saying I want this other object's game object to get its component that's a player logic script, typecast it as a player logic script, and call this method called getStompBox. I wish there was a better way to do this. There is not. But fortunately for you, you don't have to do it that much. You can actually make little methods for you that just say, hey, get the stomp box or check, and just put it out over there. And you want to say, hey, if that's the case, then destroy this, because why not? And since we have on our Mario a 1, and have all these player logic be 1s, and we're going to go back to Unity and play this. Hopefully it should work. Oh no, I made a compiler error. I missed a semicolon. Of course I did. Right here. Alright, anything else that I have done terribly, terribly wrong? Yep, alright. Cool. That worked. Now I need to actually jump on this room. Oh, nope, I didn't do it. I made a mistake. Did I do it correctly? Oh, I didn't tag this as a player. That would do it. That would be a big part of the issue. I missed. I'm so bad. Yep, I want to put the camera on the on our dear old Mario. There we go. Mario default. So now it's on the floaty one. Oh no! Ha! This physics is terrible. No, I can never catch up to it just as fast as I am. Oh well. Yeah, let me make this little guy go like a speed of 0. He will not move. Do not move, Shroom. Well, he's being mean. So, oh, did it? He's dead. Look at that. So now, if it only took like what is that? Almost an hour to make it where all the logic will come into place. But now, instead of rewriting a script 30 times, you can just go, hey, if I have a stream logic, I can just like copy this file, change like 3 lines, and it'll be basically usable for almost anything. Or if you really want to be super clean about your code, you can make a generic enemy logic, which would have this same stuff, and then you could just extend it for shrooms that have certain movement speeds or whatever, right? So if you have like a shroom that flies up and down, then you can make its movement a little different, and that's it. And there you go. But all of them will die to the shroom or stomp on the head. Let's see. Anything else that I have made a mistake on enough times to reiterate. Let's go ahead and just keep using the one that we messed with like for 20 minutes that has the better physics because it's nicer. Let's see. Where is the... that's why I couldn't see it. We have a gravity scale of 10 instead of a gravity scale of 1. That'd be most of our problems right there. So I'm just gonna delete this guy. Focus our main camera back on our dear player, and we can go back on our merry way of stomping, well, failing to stomp poor shrooms. That's most of what I want to talk about today. I know I was really fast with this, but I have a lot to do for today. I'm sorry. I was kind of fast and I didn't rewrite all the scripts with you guys, but hopefully that will work. Do you want me to just upload them? Emmanuel, I know you wanted to have just upload the whole project. I can do that. I'll just give you the whole assets folder. I won't copy the whole project just because that would be many megabytes of Unity metadata, but I'll just copy the assets folder so you can just set it up as you want and copy the scenes, which should be saved and just loaded as they are. And that should be it. If you guys have any questions, please ask, because I know I was very fast with this week, and several people didn't come who usually also ask questions. Oh, are we good? Sounds good. All right, cool. Hey, what's up?
How long would it take to like add some extra like thrust upon like coming into contact with the mushroom?
Oh, so like if the mushroom touches something, you want it to make like fly away or something instead of just getting destroyed?
Like adding like when basically like.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty easy. What you would do is I can try and do that live. I'm sure I'll mess it up somehow. But let's make sure I have all our script references as the right script references. let's see. This is shroom logic. We're gonna make that the reference one, just so I know exactly what it is. Exactly the same shenanigans. Make sure he moves everything properly. Well, nope, I did it wrong. He's got the player, he's got the box collider, all of that. And the shroom reference should have shroom logic refs. There we go. Should check for player logic. Did we give the new Mario the same logic? Yeah, player logic. Just player logic instead of player logic 1. Cool. This should work. Honestly, I don't know why I died when I jumped on his face. Well, that didn't make sense at all. There we go. Yeah. Okay, that made more sense. Okay, yeah. So we can add thrust to an object when you jump on it. Basically, you'd probably want to do it in your player logic, not the player logic 1, because that's not the right one. Nope, that is player logic 1. That's player logic. There we go. You're on enter. You would go, hey, instead of let's see. I'm trying to logically think this out. If you want to do that here, if you want to do that elsewhere, I would say you would make a public method, public void bounce, and that would just take like a float for how much, called like bounciness. And you would say you would make a private boolean, and say to bounce equals false by default, and then you make a private float to bounce to bounciness. It doesn't matter. Equals 0.0f, and you would say in your bounce method, you would go, okay, we want our to bounce to equal true, and our bounciness, our to bounciness to equal the bounciness that we just passed in. Semicolon that off, and then you would have a check on your late update, which is where we do our methods. Oh wait, this should definitely not be done here. This should be done in our movement scripts, because that makes sense, right? I think that makes sense. Cut this, go to our move. Sorry, I'm thinking about this on the fly, so it might seem a little messy. Just copy paste this over to your movement script. Oh, too many enters. And you would go, okay, you'd have a check in your fixed update. Yeah, that's where it is. And you'd say if to bounce, then pb.add force on your transform. Oop, didn't add that. Transform dot up times your to bounciness. And then once you had that, you would just go, your to bounce is now set to false, and your to bounciness is back to 0. And this would be called from your enemy logic, I guess. If you destroy this object, you would go, hey, I want all of this again, but instead of is that why I was being weird? Did I give the shroom logic reference? I think I did. I hope I did. I did. Okay, so I need to not be editing the regular shroom logic, but the shroom logic reference. Yes, go ahead and save that. I'll go, hey, after I destroy, or before I destroy this, because destroy should always be the last one that you call. Should not copy that. I'll go copy all this shenanigans and set that right here. put that in parentheses, and do what was it? Bounce. What was it? What was that name? Bounce. Your movement. Yeah, it's called bounce. Give it a float of like 10, and be off on your way. This was in the move script though, so move as player logic move, and if my mental logic holds up to actual unexpected symbol 0, I probably pushed a button somewhere I should not have. Oh no, where was this? Wait, is this in player logic? No, this was a move. Cool. Move. Oh. You right. Got that? Let's see. Anywhere else? Line 59. Let's see. 59. Wait, what? Oh, that there is no equal sign there. I'm so good at this. This is great. Name PB does not exist in the current context. Oh no, monodevelop. No, please. No. I don't want this. Okay. PB does not exist in this context. And move 57. Yay, debugging. Oh, duh, it's RB. For our rigid body. I'm not reading very carefully. There we go. Okay. So if we jump on this properly, it didn't. Because the force of 10 is not enough to move our dear Mario. It must be the force of 1,000 suns, which seems to be about 1,000. I'm just gonna make it. We're gonna make it so obvious. He'll just go flying, because that is how you make games, guys. Let's be ridiculous. And Unity has to compile first, so it's just great. There we go. Look at that. And he goes flying so far into the sky that I'm pretty sure he actually broke the kill box bounds. Well, those Overwatch memes, they're just too good. Will we ever reach the ground? Never. I think 100,000 might have been a little much. Or, oh. That's a little bit, that's a million. That's a million. But yes, so yeah, the logic for that is is there. You could actually make that more efficient. That was just the implementation I did off my head. It'd probably be better if you didn't have objects move themselves using the other things like logic. What you would do is just like move this this check right here, and say, hey, instead of having to typecast, you just have a unified script that you can call everything from that will call its own objects scripts, if that makes sense. So instead of saying player logic and move, I would go, if I do all of if I just copy this again and instead say method list and as method list, and I'd say, okay, well that way I don't have to make sure I remember that bounce is in move and get stomp boxes in player logic, right? I would just have a method list for my player, and have all of these in there, and then in each of that it would have this where it just gets its own objects thing, so you don't have to type it multiple times. You just do it one time in one way, and you can type all your methods like get stomp box. But yeah, that's an implementation I would do if I actually could remember to do such things and I don't backspace incorrectly. So yeah, does that answer your question? Let's make it 1,000 so it's actually about the same as a jump. Oh, ew, that ain't right. Thank you, Richard. Let's see, play. Well, that wasn't enough. But you can always tweak the number. You can just make a constant, a global constant, or whatever. That's just enough. It might be because it had downward momentum already, as it was coming onto its head. Yeah. You can do that. It depends on what you want to do, though. Oh wow, that was a little much. There we go, though. He's back on the ground, ready for more stomping. You can do that with, I think it's instead of add force, it's set force. But I do not know, and I'm pretty sure that would break something if I did it. So I don't want to lie and just sit here bamboozled by an error that I don't remember. Because I don't usually use rigid body logic. I like to do grid-based things. And this is using just like constant movement, which is a little different. So yeah, that's just the way to do it. Any other things you guys want to see me do off the top of my head? Nope. Are we good? Okay. Well, then that is a-okay. I can save and wrap up this live stream and put it on for another time. And hopefully next week I will have my shenanigans together and don't have to do this at 4 a.m. And forget simple spellings of rigid body and stomp boxes. Yes, my spellings are so bad. Alright, that's it. Bye-byes.